Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here back again with Hunter Hunter. We're on episode 65, and in the last episode we had Bisky, who was their new master, of course, teaching them a hell of a lot more techniques, involving their aura and things like that. So obviously Ko, which we've already seen before, but I think she put a name to it last episode, which was, to focus all of that concentrated aura like into one point, so obviously gone when he uses it with his fist. And then we also have Ken, which is to sort of spread the aura out everywhere, so it you're able to take an impact from Ko essentially by using that. And then Ryu, which is lowering and increasing the sort of percentages between sort of Ken, which is spread throughout your entire body, to like focuses of attack, so you can use it both at the same time in a fight. And of course, over the course of like how many was it, like 2 minutes where like it literally like 2 weeks had gone by, and Gon and Killua are already at normal fighting, well, maybe not normal fighting speed, maybe normal to us, but in their realm maybe not, but yeah, they're focusing on that. The Phantom Troopers turned up in real life to the island that they believe is actually Greed Island, so they are no longer in the game via the console and teleported there. They're actually coming from the real world, even though it's all the real world technically. So they're on the edge of that, so it's going to be interesting. I think I mentioned last episode that I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of mechanism involved, like to defend from that kind of stuff happening. You know what I mean? Like edge of the world. I can't remember what it is, but there is a game I think that did that. Instead of doing invisible walls, what they did was if you crossed a certain point, then you would get like taken out by some kind of like turrets or something like that. It's just a way to like not have like an invisible wall kind of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was something along the lines of that, because I figured Gene would I think he'd be smart enough to know that people would possibly figure this out. So I don't know, it'd be interesting though. But also I'm wondering if there is I don't think I mentioned this last episode, but I'm wondering if there is a possibility of anybody who goes to Greed Island via the real world and not like a teleportation maybe can't use the items, or the using the items, like it allows them to use them a different way maybe. I don't know, or maybe not even, you can't have access to them at all. I'm wondering if there's that like that possibility. I'm sure we'll find out, but yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about anyway. It's just Gon and Killua training. So yeah, I think we'll just get in episode 65. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 65. Right, well, that was immediately answered, which I'm happy that it was. And yeah, I mean, I figured that there would have to be some defense in place for people who decided to get there, outside the official channels, is what Razor called it. So yeah, Razor, and he's one of the designers of the game. And I imagine all those people that are designers of the game are probably maybe not as good as Gene, but I think they're probably up there though, right? Like if they are on that similar sort of level, I'd imagine they would be. Just because I feel like, I think due to the nature of the game and the fact that it's not really, it hasn't told us yet exactly how the game was made and how these spells actually work, considering the fact that it's not a game and it's just a place within the real world that they're able to set this stuff up. That I just imagine that, aside from Gene, they'd all have to be pretty great in their own right? So yeah, and I mean, he obviously has true confidence in his abilities, because normally like people like Hisoka would say, well, this is stuff that you're supposed to keep close to close to yourself and not give out that kind of information to people, that I'm an emitter, you know what I mean? Like, but he has no issue just straight up saying it. And yeah, I love the fact that he used it as a volleyball technique. Like, it's great. I think the idea, like, because an emitter is somebody who shoots something, like shoots their aura out, I almost feel like because he is using, what he could be using that in conjunction with maybe like it's like slight enhancer abilities as well. If he's like throwing it up in the air and then smashing it, maybe or it could be like something similar to Ko, for example, to give it like more power so that when it hits, the impact is greatly like increased, and the damage output's probably stronger because of that. Interesting as well, because I think this is the first real emitter that we've seen so far, right? The only one I think that could possibly be an emitter as well is Killua's mother, right? Because she we saw like the one attack that she did do against one of the butlers, right? Killua's friend, not real friend, but it's closest thing he had before like going like showed up and stuff, right? But yeah, interesting anyway nonetheless, because I feel like even though if Killua's mother is an emitter, then it's not like we've had any real experience seeing what she can do. And even at that point during the story, like Nen wasn't even brought up, so it's not something that you can I could really take anything away from. So yeah, it's interesting anyway. So yeah, he was talking about how you can't get there by accident, meaning that if you were to just like get knocked out and you're amidst somewhere like in the sea, you can't wash up on the shore, because apparently there's some form of current, whether it's man-made by the likes of Jing and whatnot, to make sure that doesn't happen, which I'm likely to probably say that is the case. Like there's it seems like they've just taken this island for themselves, and we own it. I also think it's I think that it's somewhere that can't be on the map, right? He was talking he actually didn't talk about it. He held up the card that was a ruler card that can only be used obviously by designers of the game, and it sends trespassers away. But it also explains that it can teleport them to anywhere on the Asian continent. I'm going to say Asian and not Asian, because I think there's a reason why they called it Asian, because Japan is Asia, isn't it? So it's probably that, but I think it's probably Asian. So I think that's the first time they've, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the first time they've actually called it had a name for the whole place, right? And it's although that being said, continent kind of refers to a landmass, really, and the Hunter x Hunter world is sort of there's like islands. It's like, depending on how big they are, again, because I don't know how relatively big everything is from just an image. They could either be described as a lot of islands. Obviously there's bigger land masses than others, and then there's true islands right next to them. It's just that if I could figure out if there is specifically if the Asian continent is one of those land masses, then I would have to, that could actually help me in regards to where Greed Island actually is on the map, because I'd assume that it would be maybe the closest continent to where the island is, and then therefore you could kind of get a feel for where it is. Again, I think it had to do with Cortopia, the reason how they could figure out the coordinates to get to Greed Island itself. I feel like that's really the only way. I'm surprised there wasn't a mirage, a sort of mirage on the island that meant that you could never really that you couldn't really see it from the outside, some sort of Bermuda Triangle shit, you know what I mean? It's just something in there that you can't see from the outside until you actually cross that threshold. But anyway, I don't know. One of the interesting things is the fact that once you're in that once you're in that space, spell cards work anyway. So I mean, I don't know, it makes me think that the spell cards and stuff aren't Nen. They're not, because Nen obviously can't be used in conjunction with them, right? and they can't be copied like what Kotobi said, or or what Shalnock said, but they obviously tried with Kotobi, right? Again, like, yeah, the theory that I only have is that Gene or someone close to him, whatever, one of the designers of the game, must have uncovered something that is in some way, some form of magic that is what this is. Because I can't, I just don't see it being Nen at all. I don't know what, I don't know. I don't fucking know. Anyway, regardless, it doesn't matter. If the spell cards do work by people who, because I was thinking that maybe there could have been a case where the spell cards only work on people that had to transfer through the official way. But it seems like it completely envelops the island. So there is a threshold there that once you cross over, that is it. And yeah, but he sent him away to come back through official way and to challenge him. Now, I don't know, judging by the subtitles, I am imagining what he's saying is that you're going to come back and then, like, try and find me. Because what he was saying was, like, if you are playing this game, chances are you'll come up against me anyway. But it's interesting that he says that, considering the fact that I wouldn't imagine the designers of the game playing it more than just looking from afar like an admin. But who knows? For all I know, considering this guy's like ability to be a designer of the game, and if he is on like Gene's level, and it wouldn't surprise me if like this is just like he's able to like use he could be like using conjurer techniques to conjure up a copy, and that's what this is. But somehow it also can use a mirror. Like, could that ever be possible? I don't know. I don't know if that's possible, because a conjurer, when you conjure up like a second dude like Castro did, I don't think they have their own aura though, right? Like the second you doesn't have, or does it split aura with you or something? Because if it doesn't have any aura, then it's impossible that it could use an emitter technique, right? But I was just wondering, like, considering the power levels of everything, could it get to the point where that is possible? That's what I'm asking. Because if he's able to control himself and somebody else at like similar times, just depending on how good he actually is, I'm sure we'll find out at some point. But the fact is that they've already set up this whole thing of this guy versus a Phantom Troop member. It's probably going to be Finks, right? I'd imagine, since he's like, that was the kind of stare down that was going on. So it's going to be interesting to see that fight, because I imagine that might be something that we do see. I don't understand why they wouldn't announce it like this if they weren't going to, but yeah, we'll see when that comes around. Right, finally with Gon, I'm happy that he's branching out, because I've been waiting for this, where because obviously Gon is an enhancer, they've said that the classes that are closest to and adjacent are more, you're able to you're more adept at learning those skills, apart from ones that are like at the opposite end. So like being a specialist, or being a conjurer and a manipulator. And I love the fact that rock paper scissors kind of works within those different classes. So obviously rock is enhancer, as he's already got that in the bag. Paper is the emitter, and shooting his aura away, and then transmuter is scissors, to cut through like rocks and stuff, and use those in conjunction with each other. And it's I've been waiting for, like, when would be the point that we actually see this in action, because I'd guess that once they made this apparent, like the whole adjacent skills and stuff that you can learn over time, it's just not your natural one, that Gon would end up doing it at some point, and yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad it's happening. We also have the Hunter exam, which is coming up, and you need to apply like immediately from now. So yeah, so Kilo has a way, because obviously he wants to, he needs to go out and actually pass that this time. because he was right there at the end. Like, oh, he was so fucking close. He was right there. Sad times. But you know, doesn't matter. I'm sure he'll breeze through it. You know, and also it allows for Zephyr to come back, because obviously he says he's doing it as well, isn't he? So if there's any sort of team up things, I mean, Killua could probably carry him through like those, possibly. We'll have to see, because there'll be different events this time, right? Like the different they say that they change up the things every time they do it, so it's not going to be the same stuff. You know, but we'll see. I mean, he only wants to do that so he can sell his fucking, you know, Zephyr just wants to sell like the card because it's a lot of money. So, you know, whatever. It's actually I didn't even think about this. The fucking the Rookie Crusher could probably make an appearance back again, right? Because he failed the last time. So, yeah, he could probably come back as well. So yeah. Right, and then we had that one guy who was actually, I wanted to see what he was talking about there, because it's weird. He was acting like, you know, friendly with Gon and Bisky, and basically, you know, asking, like, telling them exactly what's going to happen and stuff. But then he like changed his tune when he went away, right? And he, hold on, I just want to see what he said, if I can find it. Right, so yeah, this is something I didn't write down as well. This is why I wanted to come back here. Right, so apparently, so the truth is, it says the truth is that they were the only players I could find with like using magnetic force. So what the hell is that? Because we've never heard about that before, right? Magnetic force. I need to write that down just so I don't forget it in the future. So like and then he says, like, you know, an analogy of like even a pig can climb a tree if you give it enough praise. Every thousandth of a percent counts when it comes to deactivating someone's Nen. Every thousandth. I don't get that. I don't get what it means. What am I missing here? Yeah, I'll bring it up just so you can fucking see. Yeah, so he says that the truth is the only players I could find using magnetic force, right? So Gon and Bisky are using something with magnetic force, and I'm sure they haven't mentioned that. So I don't know what it is. Like, do they know they're using it, or is it something that only Gon has gotten because he is Jean's son? Like, maybe it's something that only he has, and maybe that's why it's, you know, it's precious, you know, it's something that, you know, in this game, like, actually makes him special in some way. But yeah, this is what, even a pig can climb a tree if you give it enough praise. I mean, I don't know if well, obviously it's not meant to be taken literally, but you know what I mean? I just thought I'd do it for a joke. Every thousandth of a percent counts when it comes to deactivating someone's Nen. I mean, I've got to assume that he's talking about like the ritual thing that he was doing, right? When he was, but how does that work? Like, is the whole magnetic force thing supposed to be somehow involved within the ritual that he was doing? That made him be able to conjure up this fucking thing that devours Nen? I really don't know. I mean, the thing is, he figured it all out as well. Like, he literally says, like, you know, Nick has probably left to meet with the bombers if a mass disarmament turns out to be a mass explosion, which he figured that out anyway. I mean, I suppose it is, but he's called Bomber, right? So I guess it, you know, but, you know, he was already trying to I mean, the reason why he got out was because he took action, right? And he wasn't just sitting around waiting for, you know, people to fucking follow orders and stuff. Because I mean, like me, I didn't trust getting through either. So yeah, it's just that whole thing about, you know, like every thousandth of a percent matters when you're doing this. And he's doing some sort of ritual, which spirits of the forest, like with a fucking voodoo doll thing. Remove the tainted Ned that resides within me. I suppose if it's within me, but like the thing is that because the bomb is it's like a physical object, right? It's like physically there. Though, could that possibly be just a visual thing for us, so we know where it is, or is it because there's some people where I think Nick is right that guy, that you can't even see where his is, right? And also he was blown up. It's like he was blown up from the inside, similar to the first guy that we saw that got blown up, right? But then again, like, how does the bomber touch someone's inside? You know what I mean? Like, the reason why I ask is because, you know, Crollo and whatnot he's been taken out of the story for now, so that, you know, when there is a possibility, like Fing said, that, you know, there are ways to remove Nen, right? Now, I'm not sure that this way, I mean, you know, in a world that's sort of seemingly very expansive with its Nen and all of that kind of stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if there was multiple ways to remove Nen. So I'm guessing that is the case. The only reason why I'm asking this is because I like talking, right? I like hearing my own voice. But I can't imagine something like this beast thing removing Kurapika's, like the Sword of Law thing, because I mean, it does act like a physical object, like it's there. But it's also like literally around his heart. You know what I mean? And this thing like eats away at it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's part. I'm just gonna say that it's a different technique that Crollo uses to get rid of his, because he's bound to, you know. He's bound to, isn't he? He's talking about like forest spirits and stuff, like, but he uses his conjure ability in conjunction with it, meaning that form of, you know, devouring some kind of Nen has to be, you have to be able to conjure it up anyway, right? So he uses a ritual that doesn't have anything to do with Nen, but he's using it in conjunction with Nen in order for this to work. So fucking, I don't know. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy. But also from the fact that, like, when he's doing the ritual, I don't think he doesn't announce, like, the whole bomber thing to the, like, in the ritual. Like, so it's not like a voodoo kind of thing, and that, you know, it's like clearly the voodoo doll is supposed to mimic somebody, and that person is the one that that you're affecting when you're using it. Whereas this one, he never really mentions the whole bomber thing, yet when it comes out, he says it's huge, and then says the bomber's countdown must be a particularly strong technique. So there's something with the technique that you're trying to remove that affects how big, or it affects the, you know, the beast itself because of that. God, it's just fucking crazy. It's just crazy stuff is happening right now. Yeah, so when we go back to Gun, and, you know, they're going to get spell cards and stuff like that, the woman says, "You're in luck, we just had a big shipment." Now, a shipment wouldn't really be it wouldn't be the same as somebody going into into a store and, like, you know, trading their goods out. I don't think that would be classed as a shipment per se. You know what I mean? But I think it is, because, I mean, Gon says something about it, right? I kind of had a very, I just had a moment where I was trying to think like what she was talking about. I just missed what Gon said, so I actually missed a lot of this episode, so I apologize for that. But that's why I go back through and have a look. Alright, so it says, yeah, you two are lucky. We just received a huge shipment of spell cards. Yeah, and then Gon says these are the spell cards they'd gathered. Yeah, so literally, so they've already been then. I'd imagine like Genthru and all the bars and stuff have already been to get the Breath of Archangel thing, which is it. They were talking about it, right? And then like in somewhere in the last couple episodes where they were talking about how with it they could help Jispa, right? So I don't know if it's a case of bringing someone back who's recently passed or what. I don't know, but yeah, we'll find out eventually. And then we had Bisky talking about. Well, she said she had a blackout curtain card, which, you know, apparently that blocks steals, right? But I think it blocks once, like one attempt at a steal, because it says that you can't. Hold on, it says you can't. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't stack. So it does not stack when used on a target already under the effect. Like, already under the effect. So does that mean you can completely block... It just says block one instance of an enemy steal. Or fluoroscopy, whatever that is. I don't know what fluoroscopy is. I don't get what it means by does not stack. If it's only meant to be used as like a one-off thing on one steal, then stacking doesn't really apply then at all. So I don't know why they needed to put that in there if it's pretty obvious, right? Unless it means like you can. Thing is, because the way that it's written, the way that it's subtitled, right? Like it says blocks one instance of an enemy steal or fluoroscopy. So why would you need it? What like? The only thing I think would make sense would be that, like, if it completely blocks that person from using a steal. I don't know, because it just rejects the steal from happening, right? So how do you? What's the point stacking it? Like, even if it could stack, it would be pointless, right? It's got to do more with fluoroscopy, whatever that is. It has to, because with steal that just doesn't make sense. Like, there's no point stacking a steal or stacking a blackout curtain on a steal because it's already gone at that point. So, I don't know. But like, also, like, even if it was, you know, even if it blocks the person from using a steal against you, I think that makes more sense to me. But yeah, whatever. Who knows? And yeah, that's all I've got for this episode. So yeah, very interesting. I don't know where we'll be at the beginning of next one. Whether we'll see the Phantom Troop meet up with Razor again. If it cuts ahead to the Hunter exam immediately, and we're with Killua. But yeah, we'll just have to see. So yeah, that's all I've got. But thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked certain things. One of them is the Discord. You can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon as well. So if you don't support me on Patreon, it'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's early access tier, $5 a month. Gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. As opposed to the usual 2 that the general public get. So by the time this goes out on YouTube for the general public, there'll be a fucking ton of episodes you can go watch, like all the way past 100. So yeah, enjoy those. I've also got full length on there, and there's also other tiers where you can pay to have a certain show reacted to as well. So go have a look at those. But that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.